Welcome to the Anecdote. I received another question recently from a 22-year-old bodybuilder. He's been informed by the people around him that they feel that he has a drug problem because he's been using anabolic steroids for a while now, and it's beginning to affect his life, so he says. Another concern as well was from parents specifically, and other people who feel that I should be actively discouraging the use of anabolic steroids. Okay, you need to understand one thing. I tend to be very unforgiving when it comes to the consequences of people's lifestyle choices, okay, or the corollaries of your decisions, so to speak. Before I even get to talking about the issue of consequences and accepting responsibility, let me address the dependence issue. Okay, psychologists have a criteria which they use to diagnose certain psychopathologies. It's called DSM-5. With regards to dependence, they look at issues such as tolerance, which is the ever increasing need to achieve the desired effect from particular drug you use. Issues such as withdrawal, which is the substance-specific syndrome arising from the termination of the particular use or the use of that particular drug. Issues such as compulsive use, where you end up taking more than you actually intended over a certain course of time, and you find yourself the drugs start revolving. Your life begins to revolve around the use of that particular drug. Okay. As well as the excessive time that's spent on acquiring the drug and using it and recovering off of the effects. Okay, so this is just the criteria. This is all theory. Psychological theory. And then you get to, speaking of theories, I always keep informing people that addiction and dependence is a man-made construct. Okay, this is something that we developed as people, as human beings, as Homo sapiens, so to speak. Like you have different theories on dependence and addiction, okay, such as your moral theory, which suggests that people have a lack of spiritual strength or aren't able to accept responsibility for their decisions. Okay, you have your psychoanalytic theory that suggests that addiction or dependence is the result of a developmental stasis, like particularly during the oral phase. Okay, you have your disease theory, which suggests that dependence and addiction is absolutely irreversible and can only be controlled by complete abstinence. Okay, and then you have your behavioral theory, which suggests that this is the result of compulsive use or compulsive participation in pleasurable activities, which consequently becomes pathological. Okay. This is just a theory. I feel like I always start with giving you some theory before I get to my opinion regarding all this. Okay, as I mentioned before about the consequences of your lifestyle decisions, I feel that you need to take this. You need to take this and be able to reflect upon yourself and find your weaknesses, so to speak, if you want to call them that. Okay, and see where you're falling short with regards to controlling your lifestyle and not allowing your lifestyle to control you. Okay. And the decisions you make, you should be able to accept responsibility. I mean, you obviously do your reconnaissance in order to be cognizant of the after effects or consequences of the decisions you make regarding this. Okay. Before I begin expanding on this, let's take a page out of Floyd Mayweather's book, The Boxer. We all know he's achieved tremendous success. But I was watching HBO 24/7 the other day, where he mentions that I think it was against Miguel Cotto he was preparing for the fight. It was that fight he was preparing for, where he says, "My opponent's not ready to die. I'm ready to die." Okay, and you could call this an addiction to the sport itself. Okay, he's ready, like you said, he's ready to die. He's willing to give up whatever it takes to be who he feels he's supposed to be, who he wants to be. Okay, that's why I feel with this. That's why I keep on saying people should be willing to live and die for what they believe in, who they believe they should be, as opposed to being influenced by external sources. Okay, with regards to dependence or addiction, you don't need your doctor, your psychiatrist, your spouse, your family member to inform you that you have a problem. You should be able to point that out within yourself. Okay, and if you're approaching this with reckless abandon and not and not staring yourself at the mirror every so often, I mean, you should be prepared to face the consequences. You deserve the consequences. Okay. People who have been or rumors. There's been rumors that suggest that guys like Eddie Guerrero and Jesse Marunde died due to, and what's his name, Nasser Al-Sonbaiti, the famous bodybuilder, who people assume or say that perished as a result of excessive anabolic or chronic anabolic steroid use. Okay, I'm not too sure as to how true that actually is because I wasn't there, don't have the coroner's report, but this is just what we've been informed in forums and websites and such forth. Okay, these are people who made the decision to get to where they wanted to be, regardless of the consequences that came along with it. And I'd like to believe to get to that level in the sport, you have to immerse yourself in the lifestyle and the activities of that particular sport. Okay, so these people were aware of the consequences of their decisions, but they went along with it regardless. Okay, because they felt, or they must have felt that it is worth it. Okay. So that's one extreme side of the continuum, okay? And the other side would be the cold turkey side, the staying away from it completely, okay? That's why I come back to the point where I mentioned the equilibrium, the homeostasis, okay, the balance, okay? You need to be able to control the habit if you've made the decision that you're going to engage in using anabolic steroids. You don't need anyone else to inform you as to or to coerce you not to do it or to do it. That should be your decision. It should come from within. Okay, if you feel you want to quit, you want to quit. Okay, I know cigarette smokers who inform me that who are dead today, who said they will quit when they want to quit. They know that they have a lung problem and they cannot breathe properly, but they feel that they should smoke. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to judge and say, hey, you made a stupid decision, now you're dead. But that was their decision. It came from them. It came from within. Okay, they had no external influence to inform them. They did not digest any external influence that informs them to make decisions otherwise. Okay, that was their decision. That's what I always mention this man. When I ever say I'm a man, cock and balls, it's not necessarily to do with the genitalia or my gender or such forth. I feel it comes down to it's an abstract concept, okay, which I feel is centered around decision making that comes from within, okay, and not being pulled one side or either side by any external influence. You need to, for example, if you're being attacked by a group of thugs, okay, you need to make a decision. Is fight or flight? Am I gonna run or am I gonna fight? Okay. With either of these decisions, you accept the consequences. Okay. If you're with your spouse and you decide to run, you know, okay, listen, I might just put my spouse's life on the line, but you made that decision to run. Okay. So as long as that came from within and you fully believe in it, that's your decision. Whereas if you decided to fight, you know, okay, listen, I'm risking killing all of us here. Okay, that is still your decision. That's a decision you made from within. Okay, now whereas if you're sporadic and do not know what to do, chances are the worst outcome will emerge. Okay, so I believe in making decisions that resonate from within, that come from you. Okay, and so this is the same thing applies to the anabolic steroid use. If you know that. If you've done your reconnaissance, you know that chronic use could lead to liver failure, the HPTA malfunctioning, what they call it, the epiphysis or the premature fusion of lung bones among adolescents. I like that word, epiphysis. Epiphysis. Okay, that just basically refers to the ossification or the calcification of tissue where hard tissue or soft tissue becomes hard tissue. Okay. Such as cartilage becoming bone. Okay, the premature fusion that primarily happens around to adolescents. Okay, premature fusion. That's one of these scientific theories of anabolic steroid use. Okay, which I'm not going to say I agree or disagree with, but that's what we've been taught. Okay, coming back down to the decision making, you know that all these risks, okay, accompany steroids, the use and the chronic abuse of steroids. Okay, so you make that decision for yourself. No one should be the one to tell you, listen, don't do this, don't do that, because ultimately you don't need to be a microbiologist to know that the biological organism moves towards that which gives it pleasure. Okay, so So just like trying to stop your 16-year-old daughter from sneaking out to meet boys, chances are she'll find a way to do it regardless. Okay, so it needs to come from within her. It needs to be her decision. Just like with the guys who use anabolic steroids, it needs to be your decision. But just be careful not to fall into either of the extremes. Into the cold turkey extreme, which will ultimately make you uncomfortable, and the excessive use, which has a potential of doing the same. Okay, so control your habit. Okay, I mean, there's nothing you can do to stop people from taking drugs. Okay, there are countries where people receive death penalties for smuggling drugs and using drugs as well. So, but they keep doing it regardless because they feel like they probably accept the consequences, and they know the corollaries that this could lead to. Okay, but they do it regardless. So as long as it's your decision, you're not being influenced by anyone else to do things either way, and you're able to control your habit. Okay, I'm not going to give any advice, so to speak. I'll just inform you that controlling your habit will probably have more benefit for you, as opposed to listening to what other people say and allowing other people to make decisions for you, because it will not be intrinsic. Okay, so that's today's antidote for the anecdote. I'm Absalom. See you next time.